Welcome to Guns and Gear Network, everyone. Appreciate you tuning in. Today we're going to take a look at makeshift weapons. Welcome back, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. So today we're going to take a look at some makeshift weapons. You may live or work in a restricted area that specific weapons such as knives, clubs, firearms, whatever, is prohibited. Could be a student living in a dorm. You could be a teacher that's not allowed to have any weapons at school. Your workplace, maybe how you're traveling, maybe you're going out of country. Whatever the case, and you need to figure out a way to protect yourself in an emergency. So what brought this video up, on one of the Facebook pages that I participate on, a guy was traveling out of country. The country he was going to is very restrictive on carrying weapons. So he was asking, hey, what can I use to protect myself if I would get into a bad situation? So that's what brought this video up, and I thought I would go over briefly some things to think about. Again, this right here is trying to protect yourself under circumstances where the bad guy may or may not have a weapon, but maybe you're a lady, maybe you're a small-statured gentleman that a larger attacker is trying to get you. Whatever the case, fighting back typically is the last resort, and so keep that in mind. You have to think tactically and what's the best scenario at the time, and you'll have to be the judge of that if it would happen. But if it came down to you had to protect yourself, that's what we're going to discuss today in an environment without specific weapons. So a few things to think about. Something as simple as ink pens. Now, if you're going to do that, I would suggest, some of the little cheap plastic pens that are not really that strong, but something like this. This is even though it doesn't have a real sharp point or anything, it's very rigid and it's very strong cased. The casing and everything, construction is nice. But if just hitting that on the back of my hand like that, tapping it, it hurts. I mean, I can feel it. There's a lot of nerves in this area. That's the other thing you want to think about utilizing things like this is the most effective strike areas, such as the nose, the eyes, soft tissue, the ears, the side of the neck in particular has a lot of nerves very close to the surface that doesn't take much. If you hit them just right, that can cause somebody to get knocked out. So ink pens. Keys, everybody has keys on them, so you could do something like this if you needed to strike at the eyes, face, whatever. A magazine. This is just a simple magazine that's rolled up and that is held together with a hairband, one of the elastic hairbands that a lot of ladies would have on them or in their pocketbook. Something like that. Again, struck in the nose, face, whatever, because you want to protect your hands. This right here would be easy to make. Carabiners. These are legal. Nobody's going to say anything. They can be used to hold gear. They can be used to hold your keys, whatever you wanted to do with them. And you can hang it on your book bag, backpack, whatever. But it also can be used in this fashion. Just make sure that it is a locking carabiner. This piece does not move, because if it was not locking and you struck something, it would probably damage your skin on the backside in here where it was gripped. But something like this is very heavy duty. This right here is a climbing rated, and I'll put in the section below where I bought this on Amazon. This is probably one of the better ones out there for this purpose, if you wanted to use it as a striking tool like this. Again, we talked about keys. This right here is a big wad of keys where you could sling this around and whatever, hit somebody. Flashlights. A couple different options. I carry this flashlight all the time. It doesn't really have a striking bezel. They have now these striking bezels. They're pretty rough on the pocket and tear up stuff, so I don't really use that. But this has a little bit of a scalloped edge, so if you hit somebody with that, it's going to hurt. The light itself is bright enough that you could blind somebody in their eyes to get an advantage. So just the light itself could be used. So I recommend a tactical flashlight, and I've done videos specifically on tactical flashlights. But something like this that's heavy duty metal cased could be used as a weapon. Larger flashlights that you could keep in your car, by your bed, at your dorm, whatever. So something like this could be obviously used as a club because it's big enough, and they make bigger flashlights than this. But something like this is pretty heavy duty and could be used as a baton or whatever, but it's obviously a flashlight where nobody would say anything if this was beside your bed in your dorm. So one of the things I like to try making sure of, one of the safer methods to keep an attacker off you is distance. Belts create distance because they're long enough. The average belt's probably anywhere from 36 to 42 inches long. And if you're going to use your belt, any belt is better than no belt. But a specific belt, if you're going to use it as a potential weapon, is one that's heavy duty, and also that has, it's either, the buckle itself is either sewn on, riveted on, or these are Chicago screws holding this buckle on, and that is a big heavy duty buckle on the end of this belt. So again, it's about 40 inches long. Plenty distance. You start swinging this towards somebody, you know, ninja style. This right here would keep distance between you and an attacker. Another style belt is the old tactical belts. This is a rigger's belt, heavy duty buckle on the end, very heavy duty construction. Swinging this around, you know, you hit somebody in the head with that, they're going to know it. For you cowboy types, I was in a bar back many moons ago. Saw a guy get cold cocked with one of these in the side of his head, knocked him out instantly. He survived, but it did knock him out and did a lot of damage, a lot of bleeding and so forth. But again, I'll show you the example of what this is not the best belt, because it just has these little cheap snaps that come undone. So swinging this and hitting something would probably potentially knock these snaps open. Then you would lose your weapon, which would be the buckle itself. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to, you know, heavy duty cowboy style buckle, that's fine. Just make sure it is attached to the belt with, like again, rivets, sewn on, Chicago screws, something that's more permanent. This pin here, I actually got at Dollar Tree, so there, you don't have to spend a fortune in one of the, you know, $30 tactical pins, but you know, you can get something like this to use, that's, or just one of the nicer cross pins, whatever, could be possibly used. So before you get into these scenarios, think about what's around you. So if you're in an office setting, you might have scissors, or if you're a teacher, you might have scissors, a letter opener. Some people have the nicer metal, the letter openers at their office or at their desk that you can use. Before you get in one of these scenarios, think about what's around you. You know, think, okay, if an attacker come in, or something happened, what do I have around me that I can use? And you'll just have to figure that out, what's near you and what you could use, whatever. When active shooters first started kind of happening and things like that, the rule of thumb was they told everybody basically to shelter in place and hide. Now they've actually added in as a last resort to fight back. So think about what you can use in those scenarios, in a pinch, that you could use as a weapon to be able to you know, protect yourself, or you know, overcome as a group of people to overcome an active shooter, or you know, whatever. There was I think a knife attack recently at one of the Walmarts, and a couple of people died in that. So again, at Walmart there's a lot of weapons laying around. Like you can throw bottles or whatever just to, you know, distract them. And then be able to take control of that person. Another thing is, once you get somebody, if you can't get away from them, and you're, let's say, a group of people, and you're trying to subdue somebody, you need to figure out a way to potentially restrain them. Belts, shoestrings, whatever, until the police get there, law enforcement gets there, to be able to take them into custody. But anyway, I hope this was helpful. If you have any experience with something like this, or would like to share maybe something I didn't think about or forgot, you're more than welcome to share those in the comments below. That's always helpful for us and the viewers, to let them see other things that I might not have mentioned. But anyway, guys, appreciate you tuning in. If you got any questions, post those below. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up. Greatly appreciated. As always, guys, like, share, and subscribe. Bring you another video shortly. Have a great day.